Right, so if we do, so now this is 2013 here, here. Right, so let's go to question number 1. So question number 1 basically says it's a mathematical induction part, so that is not that hard. So prove that this no. So let's see how we can do this, right? So now so for n equals 1, the left hand side is 1 to 1 to r plus 1. So it goes only up till 1. That means 2 1 plus 1 3. Right hand side 1 1 plus 2, that is also. So n equals 1, the statement is true. Correct, no? Then assuming statement is true for n equals p, that means r equals 1 to p, 2r plus 1 is equal to p plus 2. Right, so what is the what do you call the common term? Common term is this one. UR is basically 2R plus 1. Right, so this is the addition of those. Right, no? So basically what I am going to do is I am going to add u p plus 1 to both sides. Okay, so when I add u p plus 1 to both sides, right? So this becomes, so now another part is added. So the sum will be from r1 to p plus 1. So and this will be p plus 2. What is u p plus 1? That means 2 p plus 1 plus 1. Right? So write this thing down. Right. So now we came up to here. So now what do we have to prove? We have to prove that the what do you call the p plus 1 will be what? We need to prove that this goes to p plus 1. This should be p plus 1 into p plus 1 plus 2, that is p plus 1 p plus 3. So remember we have to prove this. Okay, so let's see. Now here I get this from them. So I'm going to write this p plus 2 as p plus 1 plus 1. No problem. Plus 2 p plus 1 plus 1. So now I will get p plus 1 plus p 2p plus 1 plus 1. So now uh, so now there is p plus 1 here, there's p here, there's 2 here, and there's 1 p plus 1 here. Okay, so I can take that p plus 1 also inside. That means p plus 1, 2 plus p plus 1. Right now. So I have to write in this form. So p plus 1 has already come. Right. So this is basically p plus 3. So that's correct. But we have to show that in this form. So I will write p plus 1 plus 2. Right, so that is this form. Correct. So now you have to write for n equals 1, the statement is true for if the statement is true for n equals p, then the statement is true for n equals p plus 1. Therefore, by mathematical induction principle, the statement is true for all n which is element of positive integers. So that is what you all need to write. Okay. Okay. So question number 2. So in question number 2, so there's a very common mistake that people do, right? That is when they, so it's an inequality, no? So the common mistake is that people just multiply this and get to the other side and solve the sum. That is wrong. Okay. So just so now what you call, there is a condition for this to be existing, no, anyway, right? So now just imagine x is going to be 1/3, then this will be 0, right? But so basically, if this is 0, that can't be there, no? Because you can't divide anything by 0, no? So if you just multiply and get this, so that condition you are not even considering, right? So therefore, you don't multiply and get the answer. Okay. Basically, what you do is you basically minus this out. So you get 2x plus 1 minus 3x minus 1. 3x minus 1 is greater than 0. You get minus x plus 2. 3x minus 1 greater than 0. So I'm going to multiply by minus. So x minus 2. Then I'm going to take 3 out. So the sign changes because I multiplied by minus, right? So then basically I don't need 3 as well, so I can actually eliminate this 3 as well. Right. So now what you have to do is now you have to evaluate. So now you have to evaluate. Now x equals 1 over 3. X equals 2. You have to do this and show. So now here when it's let's say 0 is going to be minus. Is going to be what? What else is going to be? This is going to be minus. That means this is going to be plus. So let's say about 1 this is going to be minus, this is going to be plus, so this is going to be minus. So when it is greater than let's say this has 3, that means 3 is going to be plus, going to be plus, this is also going to be plus, this is going to be plus. Right, now there's an important point. So now in the usual context, right, we say, so now this is less than or equal to 0 now. So usually you color this part and this part, right? But do you color this part now? Can x becomes 1 over 3? No, it can't. Although there's a less than or equal sign, that can't. So now if x is 1 over 3 is going to be 0, so this part can't be there. So you will get this thing like that. So then it will be in the range of this, right? So x will be greater than 1 over 3 and greater than or equal to 2. Right? Understood now? So let's go to question number 3. Now in question number 3, now just they are saying us to find the nth term. Right? They have given the sum of n terms, right? So sum of the first n term in the infinite series given by this, right? So basically they have given Sn, okay? Or you can say it in this way as well. R equals 1 to n of UR is 6 minus right now. Okay, so now how does this Sn come? If so now the Sn will be what, equal to Sn minus 1, that means the one before term of this plus the nth term, right? So now you can basically get un or the nth term as what? Sn minus 1. That is correct, no? Right? So then I'm going to get Sn minus 1 as well. That is 6 minus 2 n minus 1 plus 1, 3 n minus 1 minus 1. That is 6 2 n 3 n minus 2. Right? So I'm going to get this now. So it's going to be 6 minus 2 n plus 1, 3 n minus 1 minus 6 2n 3 n minus 2. So I'm going to, so 6 going to get cut off. It's going to be 2n 3n minus 2 3n minus 2 is going to be 2 plus 1 3 n minus 1. Correct, no? Right? So now what? So So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write this as, so I need a common thing, no? Right? So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to write this as 2n 3n minus 2. So I'm going to write this in these terms, right? So in 2n and stuff. So I'll get 2n. So this is 2n plus 1. No? That means into 2. Here is going to be 3n minus 2 into 3n. So then we will get to 3n minus 1. Correct? Right? So then what? So then I'm going to take this as the common factor out. That is what? 2n 3n minus 2 1 minus 2 over 3. Right? No? So basically you will get 1 over 3 2n 3n minus 2. Sorry, wait a minute. 3n. Yeah, exactly. So basically, what you can do is you can even add this up as well, right? So this is an answer, right? So this is an answer. You can actually manipulate the answer. So what I can do is that I'm going to write this as 2n 3n minus 1. No problem. If you add these up, so this also can be an answer. Or okay, this also can be an answer. So furthermore, you can simplify and write it in a way, in a series way, by doing what? So you can take 2 out and 2n minus 1, 3n minus 1. So that is 2 times 2 over 3 n minus 1. Right? Now these are just manipulations. Huh? So after this answer, these are just manipulations. So I wrote this in a more series form. Right? So this is basically a geometric series where what you call the first term is 2 and the common ratio is 2 over 3. Right? No? So I just manipulated this. So even if your answer is up to here, you will get the full mark. Until now. So now they are asking something else. Let's see. Right. So then they are asking find the nth of series and show that the series is a convergent geometric series. So they are actually asking to that this series is a geometric series and it's convergent. So basically now we got, so that is why I transformed that into this way. So basically we found that un is 2 like this, no? Right? So basically this is what you call the first term is 2 and the common ratio is 2 over 3. So this is basically geometric series. Right? So yeah, that's enough for this. And then we have to show that it's a what you call a convergent series, no? Right? So you can actually argue that because this common ratio is less than 1, right? So you can, so now argue, right? So you can say that since the common ratio is less than 1, the series is convergent. Okay, so you can actually finish the sum off like this, or you can use the normal way. So now you know that r equals 1 to n, ur is 6 minus 2n plus 1, 3n minus 1, right? So you take the limit, n goes to infinity, limit of n goes to infinity, so this becomes r equals 1 to infinity ur, so this becomes 6, so 6, so now limit of 6 is going to be 6, no? So limit n goes to infinity, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a n minus 1 here, so that means 2 to the power 2, 2n minus 1, 3n minus 1, so 6 minus, so 2 into the power of 2 you can take out of the limit, so that means 4, limit n goes to infinity, 2 over 3, n minus 1, right? So since 2 over 3 is less than 1, if you take a a power of infinity, right? It will go towards 0. Now just check. If you take 0.1 and if you take like the 100th power of it, it will become very small. So it will basically go to 0. So because of that, this becomes 6 minus 0. So that is 6. So that means it's converted, right? So this is much more easier, but this is the normal way that we do, right? Right, so let's come to question number 4. So in question number 4, this is a binomial expansion, correct? So now, how to expand using binomial expansion, right? So now, if you take x plus a over x cube to the power of 20, right? So the way you expand is basically 20 c naught, this part a x3 to the power of naught into what? X into 20 plus 20 c1, then 1 will come here and this becomes x90. This becomes 20 c2 a x3 to x80. So this basically adds up, this basically goes down. That's how the binomial expansion is now. So now if you see, now this term is same as this, and it starts from 0. This is basically, so it starts from this value, right? And it reduces gradually, correct? So now if you see, this can be written as 20 minus 0, this can be written as 20 minus 1, this can be written as 20 minus 2, and here 2 is here, correct? So basically if I go to the let's say the 19th part, this is going to be what? This is going to be 19, x is going to be 20 minus 9, that means what? That is going to be x equals 1, that is 20 minus 90, and the 20th pin will be 20c 20 a x cube when the x 0, right? So you can actually compress this now and write now. So this is basically your group from here. So now this is basically an addition, no? So you can actually write this as what? X plus 20 you can write as 20 C, right? R H O when addition of from R equals 0 to 20, right? So 20 C, so this is 1, 2, 3, so R, okay? So that R will come to this, so A over x3 R, right? So then for x is going to be 20 minus R. Right now? So because here this is R, 20 minus R, 20 minus R, these are, right? So this is the common thing, right? So now we can further reduce them. So now there's x in two places. So I want to reduce this down. So what does that? 20 CR AR x 3R, right? So this becomes x 20 minus R. Correct, no? Right? So now CR AR, then x 20 minus R, then when you take these 3 R's will be minus 3R. Right now? So basically what is this part? X 20 minus 4R. Right now? So basically you reduce this down to this part into x 20 minus R, 20 minus 4R. Correct, no? So write this down. Right, so we come up to right, so now we come up to the point where we call becomes equal to R equals 0, 20, 20 CR AR x 20 minus 4R. Correct, no? Now what are they asking? They are asking the term, the independent term of x. That means in whatever we get, there can't be any x, right? So the x0 term independent of x means that, so this is basically 1, right? That means 20 minus so that is 20 minus 4R is 0. That means R is what? 5. So we need to take the fifth term of this, right? So how do you get the fifth term? So okay. Right. So the independent term will be what? 20 C5 A5 x0, that means is 1. That's going to be 969 also. So do we get this or do we get the sum of this? You get this part, but sum is different. We need the fifth term. Right now? So this is the fifth, basically this is the fifth term of the fifth term. right? So now we know that, so we need to find A, no? Right? So what is this CR equation? In CR is what? N minus R. So basically we can write this as 20 minus 5 factorial, 5 factorial, A5 is equal to 969 hours. That means 20 factorial, 15 factorial into 5 factorial. Okay? So now basically now we have to expand this and see now. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16 into 15 factorial. That is 15 factorial into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So we have to again cancel off. 9 and 69 over 2. Then what? So 19 times 51 is this. Can take the 2 out. Uh, 20 times 4 is 20. Sorry, 5 times 4 is 20. So you can take this out. So 17 times 3 is 51. Yes. So you can take this out. Then so then basically this is also out, this is out, this is out. 3 times 6 is this. Then 3 times will be 2. So basically if I right. So now we get A5 into, now this is basically 2 to the power 4. So basically it's like, okay, 2 into 16 is 32. So it will be 1. Correct? So now A5 is going to be 1 over 32. That is 1 over 2 to the power 5. Correct? So basically A is going to be 1 over. Right? So question number 5. So question number 5 says about, it's a limits question. So it says that we need to prove the limit when x goes to 0, 1 minus cos x. So we need to prove that this goes to half. Correct? So this is a what you call conjugate multiplication. So let's see how we can do this. Correct? Now then limit x goes to 0, 1 minus cos x. So I'm going to multiply this part in both sides. Then I'll get limit when x goes to 0, 1 minus cos x. So when this becomes 1 plus x squared minus 1 minus squared. So then you all can what can you all do? So 1 can be cut off. This becomes 2x squared. Correct? And then you can write so there's x squared. So you can't do anything with cos x. So what you all can do is you can basically do the half angle for cos x, right? So that means what? Limit when x goes to 0, 1 minus 2 sine square x over 2. This will be there again. It's going to be 2x square, right? So again 1 will be cut off. So what I did here was cos x is 1 minus 2 sine square x over 2. Right now? So now you will get so I'm going to put the limit here now because it's being a pain. No, I'm going to put the limit here. This goes to 0. Limit x goes to 0. Correct? Now this becomes 2 sine squared x over 2 over 2x squared, and this becomes 1 plus 1. Right? So more elaborately if I write 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus. Correct? No? So here, so write this down. Right, so now here right. Also here you can cut these off to 2, and then what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to make this O and multiply by. So why am I doing that? So the reason is, so then I can get half angle, correct? So I can get a proper half angle there. So now in order to do that, first of all let's write it down. Then limit x goes to 0 sine x over 2 over x over 2 whole thing square, and there's a 4 here, so 1 over 4 1 plus 1 here, right? So now you can't say that this will go to 0 because this is x over 2 and this is x over 2. So basically you have to show in a what you call in a side that when x goes to 0, half x also goes to 0. So if you show that, right? If you show that, and if you put this inside, right? Then this goes to 1. Right? This goes to 1. Not 0, 1. Right? So this goes to 1. That means what? 1 over 4 into 1, 1 square into 2 is 2. Will be so this is basically it for question number 5. Right, so let's go to question number 6. Okay, so question number 6. So it says show that this ln x plus square plus 1 square is so what they have given, right? So let's see. So basically I'm going to differentiate this. So x, I'm going to differentiate this as 1 over x plus x square plus 1. If I differentiate this part, is inside is going to be 1 r, it's going to be inside is going to be 2x, right? It will be half thing, right? Yeah. So so I can cut these off. Right. Then it's going to be this part and differentiate of this. One. Right now? Right. So now I'm going to take here square plus 1 square plus 1 plus. So now I can cut these off. So then you will get the answer that they asked. Correct, no? So yeah, so write this down. So let's continue. So we got this. So now they are asking, hence find the integration of this part. Right? So we got this as right, so they are asking the integration of this part. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to integrate this whole thing. Right? So now, as I said now, this differentiation and integration part you can set off, no? Not set off, but if you take integration of a differentiation, you will get this one. That is basically x ln and then here this is basically, so the differentiation of us, this is this part, that is 2x, so I'm going to make this 2x to half, right? So there is a theorem where if you differentiate fx, this becomes 2 fx plus c, sorry, square root of c. Okay, so I'm going to apply that here. So that will be half into 2 times x square plus 1 plus this part. So I'm going to put this as I. Okay, so this gets cancelled off. So I becomes x ln x plus square plus 1 minus x square plus 1. And always put the c, right? So c is an arbitrary constant. Right? So question number 7. Right, so in question number 7 they are saying the image of the point 3, 1 on the straight line x plus 2y plus a equals 0 is 0.5 35b. So we are find a and b. So let's see. So what's this image? What's this thing called image? There is a straight line which is x plus 2y plus a equals 0. Then there is a point called 3, 1. And the image equal distance, this part is 3 over 5b. Right, so this is meant by the image. Right, so equal distance. This is basically like a mirror. Okay. Right. So what can we do? Right. So now, as these are equal distance, we can find this point. So ultimately, we need to find a and b. Right. So this point is, let's say it's at C, so it's basically center of this. So what we call C can be written as the addition of these, this, that is basically, so 3 into 5 is 15, 15 plus 3 is 18, 18 over 9, 1 plus b over 2. 9 over 5, 1 plus b over 2. Right? So basically, this point lies in this line, right? So this point should satisfy this line, right? So basically, C satisfies x plus 2y plus a equals 0. That means 9 over 5 plus 2, what is y? 1 plus b over 2 plus, what is a? 8. It is not 1. So I'm going to, I cut this off, so I'm going to multiply by 5. 1 plus 5, 1 plus b plus 5a is going to be equal to 0. Correct? Then, so basically you get 5. So 5 and 9 is going to be 14. So 5a plus 5b is going to be, so plus 14 is going to be 0. That means a plus b is going to be minus 14 over 5. This is equation number 1. Clear? Right? So write this down. Okay, so now you have one equation. There are two variables, so you need another equation. Simple as that. Now, so now this, if you take this line, okay, so let's take this as L2, this as L1. Since these lines are perpendicular,
the what you call, if you multiply the gradients, it will become -1, right? So that's what I'm going to use. So now I can rearrange this as 2i equals -6 minus a, y equal right. So basically this is the gradient, no? This is of course Euler stuff, no? So L1 is -1. So the gradient here L2 will be what? So you can take what you call reductions of y over reduction of x, no? That means, let's say 1 minus b. So this is basically y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So that is 1 minus b, 3 minus 3 over 5. That means 3 times 5 is 15, 15 minus 3 is 12. So 1 minus b, 12 over 5, so 5. Right? So now since L1 and L2 are perpendicular, L1 into L2 is going to be -1. Correct, no? So that is -half 5 1 minus b over 12 plus -1. Correct, no? So now what? So now this will become 5 1 minus b over 12 is going to be 2. So I'm going to multiply this by 12, that's going to be 24. So 5 minus 5b is 24. So b is going to be minus 19 over 5. Right, no? Right, so we found b. So then we got a, no? What is a? So from the first equation, so what was the first equation? That was a plus b minus 14 over 5. So from the first equation, you can get a as minus b minus 14 over 5. So what is minus b? Is going to be 19 over 5 minus 14 over 5. That is 1. Right? 5 over 5. Correct? So yeah, that's done with 7. So question number 8. So this is nothing new. So it's just that they have given x and y in terms of a parameter. That's all. Nothing else is new. No new theory or anything. Right? Just that x is given in terms of theta and y is also given in terms of theta. That's all. Okay, so let's see. Right, so what are they saying? So let C be the curve given by x equals 2 cos theta and y equals sin theta. right? So x is given in terms of theta and y is also given in terms of theta. There's nothing, okay, where theta is a parameter, right? The normal to the curve C at the point corresponding to theta equals 5 over 4. So now they have given the theta as 5 over 4. Why have they given? For you all to find x and y. Right? Okay. Meets the curve C again at the point corresponding to theta equals alpha. So why have they given theta equals alpha? For you all to find x and y. Right? Okay. Now because that's clear, we can continue. Right, so there is some curve. Okay. So where what you call a point can be written as, so now xy point can be written as 2 cos theta sin theta. Okay, right? Then they are asking, so they are giving a point. So now this is the curve C. This one, I'm going to make this very clear. Right? This is curve C. This is any arbitrary point in this curve C. So this x and y in terms of this curve C can be written in the form of this. Okay. So then there is a point in the curve C where theta is 5 over 4. So let's consider this point as P. This point as P. Right? P where theta is equal to 5 over 4. Right? So now even point P can be written in this form because it's in the curve. Correct? Right? So point P is basically 2 cos. So now theta is 5 over 4. 5 over 4 sin 5 over 4. Right? So what is point P? 5 over 4 is what? 1 over square root 2. So that means 2. That means correct now? Square root of 2, 1 over square root 2. Right? So what are they saying? So that's clear now? They are saying the normal to the curve C. So they are the normal to the curve C at P. Okay? So normal to the curve C at the point corresponding to theta equals 5 over 4. Meets the curve again at the point corresponding to theta equals alpha. So now, how do you get a normal? How do you get a normal to this? So to get a normal, let's first consider the tangent. So from that tangent, you get a normal. So what do they say? They say this normal, this is the normal, this is the tangent. So the normal meets the curve C. So curve C at the point corresponding to theta equals alpha. So here, now let's take the point as Q, right? So this is the place where this normal meets the curve C, and that what we call theta there is equal to alpha. Right? So this point can be written as what? this point can be written as 2 cos, not theta. Now you can substitute alpha here. Alpha sine. So this is this is what they have complicated and told us, right? So because you have found this, now we can proceed to the thing, right? So they are asking us to show that 2 sin alpha minus 8 cos alpha plus 3 times square root 2 is equal to 0, right? So now there is an alpha here, right? So that means they are definitely asking about this normal line, right? So now we have to find the equation of the normal line first of all, and then what I am going to do is, because this normal line is a so that normal line satisfies this point, you can substitute that and you will get this answer. So let's see, right? So now how do you get this? How do you get this line now, right? So now you can get the gradient of this tangent. You can get the gradient of this tangent by differentiating. That's right, no? So basically, m of the tangent is going to be equal to, so what's this curve have the so that will be equal to dy over dx, right? At point P, correct, right? So now what is y? Y is sin theta. So then you can get dy over d theta as what? Cos theta, correct, right? Now then you know that x is 2 cos theta. That means dx over d theta is what? Minus 2 sin theta. Agreed, no? So then what? Then basically m tangent will be what? Dy over d theta into d theta over dx. That is cos theta divided by minus 2, because this is going to be 1 over, right? 2 sin theta when theta is equal to 5 over 4. Correct, no? Right? So basically you get, I'm going to write it here, m tangent will be 1 over square root 2 minus 2 1 over square root. This will get cancelled off and you will get, so tangent of what you call the gradient of the tangent line will be minus half. Is that clear? Right, so write this down. Right, so now we got up to this point. So now we can get the gradient of the normal line, right? How is that? And because m tangent into m normal is going to be minus 1 because these are perpendicular, right? So that means m normal minus half will be minus 1, m normal is going to be 2. Correct, no? Right. So now So now you basically know the tangent of this. You know 2 points of this, so you can write the equation down, right? So I'm going to put this as, let's say this as L1. So you can L1 known as this normal line. That can be written as, so the gradient is in normal is going to be 2. 2 is going to be equal to y minus 1 over root 2 x minus root. Correct, no? So then you will get 2 times x minus root 2 equals y minus. Correct, no? Right? So now what? So basically, yeah. So now this is basically in terms of L1, right? So now this line you can actually make this proper, but now this statement or this line should be should satisfy this what do you call it, this point, correct, right? So since L1 satisfies Q, then you can write 2 times x is 2 cos alpha minus root 2 is equal to sin alpha minus 1 over root. Correct? So now, what are they asking? Okay. So basically, what's the answer they want? They want a big thing. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to multiply the whole side by 2. That is because then I will get 2 sin alpha now in the answer. So that means 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. That is, so that is going to be 8 cos alpha minus 2 times 2 is 4, 4 square root of 2 sin alpha. So 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 2. Right? So then have we got the answer? Yeah, so if we take it here, that is going to be 2 sin alpha minus 8 cos alpha. We take here, going to be plus. Right now? Right, so question number 9. So in question number 9, it says a circle of radius 1 and the center lying on the line x plus y equals 0 intersects the circle. So there's a second circle given orthogonal, right? So if it's intersected orthogonally, then you all should know a theorem. Who's like this? This is right. This is just reminding. So if this one is x square plus y square plus 2g1x to f1y plus c1, and this is s2 equals x square plus y square plus 2x to y plus c2. Then if this is orthogonally intersected, then what? 2g1 g2 plus 2 f1 f2 will be equal to c1 plus c2, right? So this is the theory, correct? Right? So yeah, so now let's do the sum. Right, so now there is this circle C, okay, where the radius is 1 and this what you call this center goes through x plus y equals 0, correct? No? So now basically so you can do this sum in two ways, right? So so now since this goes, so I'll tell you the first way now. Now since this thing goes to x plus y equals 0, so x will be equal to minus y, right? So g can be written as what? Minus g minus c. If you all can remember this, use this, right? Natham, the next method is pretty easy as well. So then you also remember now r is what? G squared plus f squared minus c, correct? Yeah, that is 1. This is, so you can actually write this as now this you all can write as what? Minus g. So minus f will be what? Minus f will be g, no? Write this as g square plus b square minus c. So that is 1 equal 2g square minus c. So c will be 2g square minus 1. Right, so you all can write this equation. So the equation of, so let's take this as S1. You can write S1 as x square plus g square plus y square plus, which will be 2g1 x1 2 f1y plus c1. So basically here no, so you all, so yeah, write it down. So this is not necessary, yeah, this is not necessary, it's for completion's sake. 2 g1 x1 plus, so basically now f is minus g here, correct? So minus 2 g1y plus 2g square minus 1, right? So this is one way of deriving the equation of this. So why do we need so do we actually need the equation? No, we just need to find what is g1, f1 and so on. So basically from this we get what do you call so yeah, basically now for us what we did here was, so g1 will be g1, f1 will be minus g1 and c will be 2 g1 square minus 1, correct? So we put g1 correct? So this is one way, right? So the other way is using the using parameter. I find that way more easier, but this is also another way. Okay. So now that's one way of doing it. Or you can use what do you call parameters to do this. So now I show in that way, right? So this is the curve C, and there is going to be a line that x plus y equals 0, and one other thing, so r is 1. Correct, no? So basically, since x plus y 0 goes through the center, what you call so that is x equals minus y. Therefore, the center, I'm going to write this as t. Center is t minus t. Clear? So this is basically t minus t. So now you know that the radius is also 1. So you can actually write this equation down. That is what? X minus t square plus y minus t square is 1 square. Correct, no? So then x square plus t square minus 2xt, this is going to be what? This is going to be x plus t square. So y square t square 2yt is equal to 1. That is x square plus y square. Then here minus 2xt. Here plus 2yt plus 2t square. I'm going to take 1 here, so minus 1. Right? So this is basically the form of right now. Okay, so if I consider this as curve S1, this will become G1. So where G1 is going to be what? Minus T, and F1 is going to be T, and C1 is going to be C1 is going to be 2T square minus 1. So it's similar as before. Correct? So the only difference is that we took the positive thing in the previous one, so I have taken the negative, so it doesn't actually matter. So now, so what is the S2 curve? That is, they have given x square plus y square, then there is no x component, so basically 0x plus 4y plus 3, no? Right? So now here we can say that G2 is going to be 0, right? So then what is F2? F2 is basically 2. Now this 4 is going to be what? 2F2 according to this. F2 is basically 2. C2 is given as 3, right? Clear? So then what? So then they have so then since C1 S1 and S2 are orthogonally intersected, right? So you can write 2 G1 G2 to F1 F2 equals C1 plus C2. So G2 is 0, so this part will become 0. 2, what is F1? F1 is T, F2 is 2, what is C1? 2t square minus 1, what is 3? Right now, so 2. Alright, so it's going to be 4t equals, right? 2t square minus plus 2. Right? So write this down. Right, so now you will get this. So now right, so now we have got this now. That means 4t equals 2t square plus 2. So it is going to be t square minus 2t plus 1, that is t minus 1 square equals 0, that means t equals 1. So if t is equal to 1, center will be 1 minus 1. So in the previous method, what will happen is that we will find that g will be equal to minus 1. So if you do it the other way, the first method there is then since the center was minus g minus f, so sorry g1, and as this we took as plus 3, so you will get plus 1 minus 1, the same thing, right? So that's basically it for the question number 9. So now let's go to question number 10. Last one. So question number 10 says that sine theta is minus 1 over 3 and it is in the where theta is between 5 and 3 pi over 2, right? So basically, all is t seen. So now this theta is somewhere here. Okay, so in this region. So in this region only tan is positive. Correct, no? So now since sin theta is equal to 1 minus 1 over 3, you can actually go from sin square theta plus cos square theta equals 1, but actually I don't think it's very necessary. Basically you can draw a triangle, right? And then consider this as theta. This is 1 and this is 3. So you will get 3 square minus 1 square. You will get square root of 5. Right? So this is sufficient, right? But remember the sign, right? So cos theta will be square root of 8 over 3, but minus, because it's here, right? So that is, so you can first simplify this as 2 over square root of 2, and then you can get tan theta as well. Tan theta is going to be positive, okay? Tan is going to be positive, that is 1 over square root of 8, correct? Right, so that is positive, these are negative, right? So what are they asking? They are asking sin 2 theta. So this you can get sin 2 theta as well. 2 sin theta cos theta. 2, what is sin theta? This cos theta is this, so that is So that is basically minus into minus is positive. So 2 into 2 is 4. 4 square root 2. So this is not square root 3 is this one. So 3 into 3 is 9. So the first thing is done. Then what's the second one? That is tan 2 theta. So tan 2 theta is 2 tan theta minus 1 minus tan square theta. That is 2 into 1 minus 2 into 2 square. 2 get cancelled off. So 1 over square. 1 minus this is 4 into 2. Correct? So that is 4. So this is 8. 8 minus 1 is going to be 7. So it's going to be 7 over 8. So if you put this up, and I write this as 4. So it can be written as 4 into 2, right? Right? So 4 square root of 2 over 6. Right? That's done.